excited to have you here, Sharon, to interview and talk a little bit about the future of blockchain. Maybe we could start by having you just tell us a little bit about the Arwen protocol and what you guys are working on.
So at Arwen, we're designing and building a way to trade on centralized exchanges without trusting the exchange. So the idea is, instead of depositing your coins in the wallet of the exchange, you would use Arwen escrows to collateralize all your trades on the exchange. And the Arwen protocol is an atomic swap protocol, so that means that even if the exchange goes offline, gets hacked, tries to run off with the cold storage of its wallets, any of those bad cases happen, your coins would still be safe.
Oh. And so what was the origin of starting the business?
So we started the company a year and a half ago, and the reason we started the company was we were doing research. I'm a professor at Boston University, and my co-founder Ethan is my PhD student. So we were doing research on blockchain together for about 5 years, and we'd written a bunch of papers. Some of our work had resulted in changes to the Bitcoin protocol, to the Ethereum protocol. And we were watching, like papers that we were writing getting actually picked up by other teams and being commercialized. So in particular, there was this paper that we wrote in 2006 called Tumblebit. After the paper came out, an open source project for implementing Tumblebit was started, and the Stratus team, Stratus Blockchain, started to look at deploying Tumblebit in production. And we were watching all this happen from inside the university, and we said to ourselves, like, we should start our own company and see what we can build. And so that's why we started this company.
Cool. And so tell me a bit about the paradigm today is exchanges holding on to custody of coins to do transactions, trading around them. Tell me a bit about what your guys' alternative is.
So with our system, when you trade on an exchange, you're not holding the coins at the exchange's wallet anymore. What you would do is you would actually have your own self-custody solution. So that could be like a hardware wallet, or it could be like a software wallet on your phone. It could be a custodian like Coinbase Custody, whatever you think is the right place for your coins to live. You would still basically keep your coins inside the custodian while you trade. So the idea would be that what you do in order to trade is that you move your coins into an escrow on the blockchain that collateralizes all of your trades. Then individual trades are actually done against the exchange's order book. And what's really cool about this is that if you're the only Arwen user at the exchange, you still get the good prices of the exchange's order book. You wouldn't have some special Arwen price that comes from the fact that there are few users using Arwen, which is an issue with a lot of the DEXs. And another really cool thing about this is that the trades will happen fast. Arwen is a layer 2 protocol, and so that means that when you actually trade, the trades don't involve sending anything to the blockchain. Trades are not executed by the blockchain. What's on the blockchain are those escrows that collateralize your trades. And so you get fast trading. Trades are secure because they're atomic swaps, and you're trading on the exchange's order book as opposed to in a walled garden of a particular protocol. So those are the cool things. And then in order to release your coins from the escrows, you would close them. And so what Arwen guarantees is that when you close, you can always close your escrows, even if the exchange goes offline, stops talking to you, tries to attack you, or tries to manipulate the balance in the escrow to sort of roll back your trades to pretend they never happened. So yeah, so it's a secure way to simplify all that. It's a secure way of trading on an exchange that protects your coins even if the exchange is hacked.
Oh, so I can trade with centralized exchanges without ever losing custody of my coins.
That's right.
Tell me how you think about DEXs, which are people are saying they can solve similar versions of that same problem.
So I think that DEXs are all really cool. I think that we're all trying to solve the same problem, which is the security risk of trading in a centralized exchange. DEXs are using atomic swaps, many of them, just like we are. But there's a lot of differences in what we're building and what the DEXs are building. So generally speaking, DEXs are their separate own order book. And so the liquidity on a DEX depends on how many people are using the DEX. With Arwen, we thought it was really important that we don't require, have the liquidity come from the users of Arwen specifically. So we basically tap into the liquidity on the exchange. There's not a special pool of Arwen users that are trading with each other. You're actually trading with custodial users of the exchange or whoever's on the order book. So that's the first thing. The other thing is with a lot of DEXs, you see trades are going from the Alice's wallet to Bob's wallet, so they're fully decentralized trading. With Arwen, trades are going from the user's wallet to the exchange's wallet. And the reason that this is really great is because you can set up an escrow with an exchange and then use that to trade with any other user, right, off blockchain and quickly. If you compare that to a DEX, DEX trades are executed by the blockchain because you don't know who you're going to be trading with. right? So you don't know whose wallet your coins are going to be moving to, and so the actual execution of the trade is on the blockchain. So to step back, on blockchain execution in many DEXs, off blockchain execution in Arwen. Off blockchain execution is important because it's faster, so you don't have to wait for the blockchain to confirm trades, and it's secure against front-running risk, so you don't have a node on the blockchain that can see your trade before it's executed, like you would on a deck, on many DEXs, and that creates risk that node will actually try to strategically manipulate your trade, like front-run it, or fail to execute it, or things like that. With Arwen, there's no one that sees your trade other than the exchange. So those are the big differences. I think, at a high level, we're all trying to solve the same problem. The question is, how does this thing actually perform in terms of speed, scalability, robustness to front-running, liquidity, all of those aspects.
Cool. And so if you guys build out your protocol, we're looking forward in the future, and the world's a different way, what does it look like?
So the way that the world looks like in the future is we don't trade cryptocurrency the same way we trade other assets. So I actually very strongly believe that the way we're trading cryptocurrency is very old-fashioned. It's really mimicking sort of these centralized, trusted models that we would have to use in traditional financial services. In fact, it's actually worse because in traditional financial services, you would have like a qualified custodian and then the exchange. Like the exchange would never hold custody of your coins. In the crypto world, it's actually even more centralized than it is in the traditional financial world. So in some sense, I see the industry currently thinking that the way we need to go is to actually separate the exchange and the custodian, right? So that we can be more like the traditional financial world. I actually think that the blockchain presents this huge opportunity for lots of different use cases, and one of them is trading. And so I think that eventually we're going to realize its promise of actually using the blockchain to trade securely. We won't have to trust a central party in order to trade. That's the whole point of having a blockchain. The reason we value, Bitcoin is because it's decentralized. We don't have to trust a single party. In the future, I think the way we're going to be trading is one of the use cases of blockchain is to actually trust the blockchain to secure our trades, as opposed to trusting a particular custodian or a centralized exchange or whatever party that's going to get in the middle.
Sharon, you ready for one of my favorite parts of the interview?
Yeah, let's do it.
So rapid fire questions. You ready? Okay.
Hold on. All right.
Good?
Yeah.
Good? Okay. Market context questions. Where do you think we are in the boom-bust build-out cycle of blockchain technologies?
Build out.
Okay. What do you think the top factors hindering blockchain adoption are?
UX, scalability, interoperability, and just like the stability of the infrastructure. The infrastructure is just changing all the time, and it's super unstable, super difficult to build on top of other people's open source projects.
Which are the ones you want to solve?
Scalability, infrastructure, UX,
Cool.
all of them.
What do you think are top factors accelerating blockchain adoption?
I think there's just like a massive enthusiasm amongst a lot of people, and people are just like putting their hearts into this, and the number of people that are just doing this for like reasons that are hard to articulate is really high, and I think it's going to push the field really far forward.
Cool. Let's talk about scalability. Do you believe it can be solved this year?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool. Layer 1, layer 2.
Layer 2.
Why?
Layer 2 all the way. So it's a very strongly held belief of mine that you always build on top of the systems that exist and have good adoption. I've worked on the internet for 15 years before I started working on blockchain. It's very, very hard to go and say we're going to change the internet, we're going to rip out all the protocols, and you're going to all use my new, better protocol now. And I still feel the same way about blockchain. I don't think that Bitcoin, Ethereum are going anywhere anytime soon, so we really want to build on what's there. Layer 2.
Are you a Bitcoin maximalist?
No.
Cool. Regulation.
I am not a Bitcoin maximist. I am a dirty slate researcher and engineer.
Okay, so starting with what's already there and then building around it.
Yes.
Go on more about the dirty slate.
So dirty slate means that you start building on what's there. You have a slate that's full of stuff and you add things to it. Clean slate says erase the whole thing, get rid of the internet, and start with a new internet. And this sounds funny, but I actually, in 2005, 2006, when I was a PhD student at Princeton, there was a huge number of projects and a huge amount of funding from the National Science Foundation to work on clean slate internet design. And I never wanted to work on this stuff because I didn't believe that the internet was going to go away, because I was like using Facebook, in 2005, and there it was, like, you're going to replace the internet. Like, I'm already, on all these platforms that are going to become really important, right? And I didn't think they were going to go away. And I feel that way about the blockchain space too.
Cool. When it comes to regulation, do you feel as an entrepreneur you have clarity around the regulation to operate?
No. I would love some clarity around their conviction to operate, please.
Cool.
That would be extremely helpful to us.
Cool. Exchanges today, do you think the paradigm of centralized custodial trading is a good one?
I think centralized trading is really good. I think that people want to, go where the liquidity is. I don't think that the current model in which exchanges act as custodians, unless they really want to be custodians, so there's some exchanges that want to be custodians, but the ones who just want to be exchanges, I don't think that model's going to stick around for too much longer.
Cool. DEXs, substance or non-substance?
Substance.
Okay. What?
Substance, but I think that there's a long way to go, and I think that our approach is the right approach.
Okay. Cool. Mining today, is it centralized or decentralized?
I would say decentralized, but not decentralized enough.
Do you think the average person can participate?
Yes, but it wouldn't make any difference.
Do you think mining is becoming more centralized or decentralized?
I think there are efforts to decentralize it, and I think that things in the market are happening to actually.
Coolest project you're thinking about?
My coolest project? Stable block explorers. Beautiful, stable block explorers that don't crash and sink really fast.
Cool. Comes to wallets, hardware, software, other custodial solutions, what's your favorite?
Hardware.
Cool. How comfortable are you with self-custody of your assets?
If it's in a hardware wallet.
Okay.
Not if it's in a software wallet.
Yeah. Too many exchanges, too few exchanges.
Too many, they will consolidate and have to differentiate, and they should use Arwen to differentiate.
Okay. We're going to see Bitcoin payments anytime soon.
Not in the next year.
Okay. Do you believe regulatory uncertainty is affecting innovation in this space?
Yes.
Do you think the U.S. is falling behind in innovation in this space because of regulatory uncertainty?
Yes.
Do you believe this regulatory clarity is getting better or worse?
It's getting worse, and it's slowing us down.
Cool. That's it. We are through with the rapid fire questions. Thank you for hanging out with us as part of the future of blockchain.
Thank you.